You have reached the public service. Ask yourself one question. Are you a taker or a maker? As with any situation in life, is your situation taking or making you happy? This is a public service show, and I'm Sandra.
And I'm Kirk.
And tonight's subject is a really difficult subject. It's called the re-enslavement of women. And that's a tough one. So
I don't know how tough it is because it's happening. It's.
I know how tough it is because it takes away my freedom. That's tough. So.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, my apologies.
It's okay.
So, yeah, the re-enslavement of women. And we see it all. It's taking place. And we're going to start out here by talking about the Victorian era, because this is where MAGA and the Project 2025 references as where they want to be as far as culturally, religiously, the billionaires running the show. And that era was from 1837 to 1901. It was a time of women's suffrage, as they were basically oppressed across the board, economically, legally. Actually, it kind of covers everything, doesn't it? Economically and legally.
Yeah, but we'll break it down into specifics.
So for those of you, and I know that it says 1901, but it kind of carried over. It pretty much, the whole Victorian era kind of went through maybe to the beginning of the Depression, the Great Depression, roughly. But technically, that's when they say, but we're still fighting those battles today. So Did it end in 1901? I don't think so. Here's number 2. And it's pronounced the coverture. Yes.
Which legally renders women legal non-entities. I'll say that again. The coverture legally renders women non-entities, and it entitles men to own everything. Women were denied the right to sue for any kind of damages, vote, retain custody of their children, or divorce, or they made it near impossible to divorce. So that, to me, is modern-day slavery. You have no power to own anything, so your economics are taken away, your children are taken away, and the worst of all, if you have one of the most despicable husbands, and some women did, and back then it was okay to beat your wife and treat her like garbage, all these kind of things, throw her out in the street for all, it was a man's right. So.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and let's be, there were no rights for women. I mean, and this was so pervasive that it even made its way, as I thought about this, it even made its way into, if you've all watched Disney, Mary Poppins, and that lady marching for women's rights, that was an extension of this. So even in movies from way back when, they're referencing these women who have no rights. And here's the thing. I mean, think about what she just laid out and where that would leave a woman today in 2026, especially considering that it's so expensive. It requires 2 salaries to live.
It really does. Everything has gone up.
And let's face it. I mean, back in this day and age, alcoholics were rampant. These men would go home, beat their women. This is how we ended up fighting for all the women's rights that we have today that they're trying to strip away, is because they were abused. They were
not only abused. Somehow during this period, women were not considered intelligent, and that we had to be controlled, led, protected. And they use the word protected, and they use the Bible a lot to take away women's rights. They made us seem as if we couldn't do anything without a man's approval because we weren't smart. That was one of the things. We were weak, and all of these things that empowered men to take advantage of us. And it is taking advantage. Because to me, it was power over the womb. You know, your children, this is the vessel for which you could bring forth other yous. And I believe that that's what it was, was power completely over the womb. And in doing so, there was a lot of despicable things done to women because of that. And we'll go on to number 3. Just
so for all you women who, you know, we
wanna
teach
be
into
trad
the young
wives?
girls, and I just learned with that. You people have no concept of what it is that you're trying to sign up for.
just slavery, that's all.
They were sterilized if they were found disobedient. If women, you know, had hysteria, this is where the word, you know, hysterectomy, doctors would remove their ovaries, give them a hysterectomy if they were considered having, you know, hysteria.
Speaking up was what it was.
Yeah, basically talking back. If you said no,
That's exactly right.
you were disobedient and you could be jacked up.
Or wanted any kind of freedom outside of the home is what I used to, any kind of like, they used to have women's clubs and stuff like that. And men were afraid that if more than 2 women got together, they'd overthrow them. It's insanity how to control somebody else. We have generations of men that think it's their right to own women. And they want to go back to that ideology where I own my wife, I own my children. I recently saw something on television where Republican women were talking about, I actually fell into that. I let my husband be the only one in the household to vote. Remember, we saw that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And she has since retracted that because she was only listening to one source of news, and they told her that's the way to be a trad wife. The husband makes all the decisions and all of these things. Well, in a lot of cases, if that were to happen today, y'all be living out on the streets because it is expensive to live anywhere in this country. And without 2 incomes, you couldn't afford to have children. And even though your husband was controlling you, trust me, you'd be starving because he wouldn't allow you to use your brain to solve the problem for why you're starving.
Yeah, he had all the answers, right? They were supposedly the know-it-alls. And if you've run across any of the men that think that this is okay, you know, they're complete foolish idiots. So, yeah.
So, number 4. Back in the Victorian age, women were forced to wear dangerous clothing, you know, those corsets and things. And they often broke ribs and things, and a lot of it was poisonous. There was a lot of lead in the clothing, a lot of arsenic in the clothing.
And beauty products.
Why? I'm getting there.
Sorry.
It's okay. And the beauty products as well. But like I said, there was a lot of broken ribs and things. The things they put on their face was full of lead and all kinds of horrors. So I'm not sure if that was deliberate or it was a sign of the times where they didn't realize that certain elements or were toxic and could kill you. So I'll give them a pass on that a little bit. But other than that, the idea of a woman having to have a small waist and all of these other things, that was a man's ideology. And frankly, I think it's very passé because we come in all shapes and sizes. And I think that we're all beautiful in our own ways. And we don't have to be some of us aren't. Some of us are all legs, i.e. me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Personally, I think one of these fat guys should slap a corset on, because why should women look at their nasty girth? Right?
And we're judged by our aesthetics. Men are not. And I mean this. This is what we're judged on. This is how, if you don't look good, blah, 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 blah. I used to, when I was young, believe that a woman had to be beautiful all the time. And then as I grew older, I saw all of these stunningly gorgeous women being cheated on. And I thought to myself, hold on. She's absolutely beautiful. And the men are treating her like garbage. So it has nothing to do with aesthetics.
Yeah. I mean, let's just face it. There's some men out there that think that they're so amazing that they should basically breed with everything that walks.
But that only works if you have money.
Well,
it's true.
Well,
you can think that.
These guys,
you're not going to be like working at Walmart that's not a bad place. I'm just saying, making minimum wage and going up to Cindy Crawford when you're prime and saying, okay, I get to breed with you. She's like going to go. And I'm not saying that Cindy Crawford's shallow or anything, but she was wealthy. It's just a name, Yeah. But I'm just saying that I don't see it working that way.
Well, no, it doesn't work that way. I'm just telling you what these guys think. And I've known quite a few of them in my lifetime. They look like crap, fat, nasty, out of shape, you balding paunch, you name it. And these guys think like they're supposed to be breeding with everything that moves. They think that their women are supposed to be spotless and this and something. I'm looking at these guys going, who the hell are you? Who's anybody to tell another human being what they have to look like, what they have to be? I
don't either.
And most women, a lot of the women I've known, are a hell of a lot smarter than a lot of the men I've known.
Yeah, but what do you get from being objectified? Do you see? That's what it is. You're not supposed to have a brain, because if you're objectified, you have to be controlled. And control is everything. And if you have to control something to keep it, is that a relationship? If you have to lie, cheat, and steal, and this is lying, this is abuse, to being in a relationship, is that a relationship? Or are you the jailer? You're the jailer, and guess what happens with prisoners? Prisoners try to escape. So keep that in mind when some of these people want to imprison women, right? We got free before, and we can get free again. And I think it's disgusting to think that we have to be controlled. What's wrong with you? Make a friend, not a prisoner. That's just my opinion. Because a lot of women back in the day, in the suffrage day, poisoned their husbands, shot their husbands, threw them off cliffs, did everything they could to kill them because they were tired of the abuse. Yeah. So think about that. If you feel that you have to, or the woman, if you feel that you're so low, and I mean low, that you can't even breathe without being assisted by a ventilator, you have bigger issues than trying to be in a relationship.
Well, I don't think they were confusing this stuff with any kind of relationship.
I'm just saying women today that want to be trad wives.
I got you.
I'm saying you guys think this is a glamorous lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. I have aunts and people that are older than me that told me what the 50s were like. That wasn't a good time. They used to get beaten all the time, teeth knocked out, black eyes, no food, left outside in the streets, and not a single cop or anybody else would help them. Why? Because you're a possession.
Your own bad
and
man.
Possessions are like toys. You can break your toys and not get in trouble. So think about that too when you're watching this man that made you a trad wife beat the crap out of your kids, rape them, or whatever he wants to do, because they're also his possessions. And you made the decision to be in a relationship of total submission. Am I right?
You are
total
right.
submission.
And
you have no right to even speak up.
I would like to submit that we no longer refer to this as trad, short for traditional.
No.
Yeah, well, there's nothing traditional about this
isn't.
crap. So, in fact, how about we refer to them as slave women?
Yeah. And
like
don't
that.
use your Bible and say that that is my position. I have not read anywhere in the Bible where a woman has to be a slave to a man. That is all made up, and that is bastardization of the Bible. I don't want to hear it. And if that's your interpretation, please keep that to yourself. I'm not interested in either. I don't want you telling my children any of that or anybody I know, because it's not true.
Typical religion.
Well, I have to throw that in there because some of them are using religion to abuse.
Some,
and then the Bible says love.
Some none.
It doesn't say hurt.
They all do. Every last one of these religions marginalizes women. Full stop. Catholic, Christianity, Muslim, all of them. Every single last one of them marginalize women. Now, let me be very clear. The men that interpret this marginalize women because, as my amazing wife said, go read these books for yourself, and nowhere in these books does it say anything about your wife's an indentured servant.
And don't educate her. Don't give her freedom. Don't let her have any kind of control over the children. I mean, what is that? It's control of the womb, right? And it's really sad because, there are times in my life where I've run into people of different religions and stuff like that. And these women have to be pure as the driven snow, right? Although they're in the STD clinics. Why? Because their husbands aren't. So they end up with STDs, right? The woman has to be a virgin and all this other crap. But he's sleeping with everybody.
And make no mistake about it.
And so she's getting venereal diseases and things like that. But hey, that's fair, right?
Yeah. I mean, as we go back to our Victorian era, by the way, what we just described, the first 4 bullet points, that was if you were a wealthy woman. That was if you came from money.
And another thing is that some women in some religions would be killed if they found that she had a venereal disease, because even if her husband gave it to her, it would be her fault.
That's correct.
So keep that in mind. Traditional wives that want all this money and so-called, you get to stay home and eat bonbons and stuff, right? That's what you think.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
That's what you think.
So as we go down on to number 5 here, now we're going to get into what happens to women who were of a, poor.
Average.
So, first of all, they actually had a law, and it was called the Poor Law, literally. And basically, thanks to the Poor Law, women could be imprisoned for trying to hide their births. If they were found to be unmarried, they were pushed into prostitution. And that means they were open to violence, state-mandated VD treatments, because now these are poor women. They have no rights. They have no nothing. Now they're in a situation where they're being abused. They're being exploited. They're being just absolutely eviscerated. And hello, son of a gun, if it isn't the law. Now, I don't know about you. Well, actually, let me be quick because I know that she would like to comment on this one. Yeah, seriously, I mean, it's bad enough for the women who are wealthy. Women who are poor, I mean, you were chattel. I mean, wealthy, you were chattel, but I mean, you're chattel. And this is what you people think you want to have? And it may be good for the first year or two where you think that just, I wouldn't give 2% of the relationships of these people who want to be slave wives it ever works. 2%.
Are you noticing a theme here? A theme where even the police control the womb. You see, that is a powerful thing, bringing forth life, right? Because that means that men, and this was their ideology, can live forever if they have children. And once again, law jumps in and says, okay, if you're poor, then we're going to make you a prostitute so you can satiate men, the womb again. And then, of course, violence and VD treatment. We'll keep the VD treatments so that men can enjoy your body against your will, turning you into prostitution, having a pregnancy that you didn't want. But they controlled that as well. See? So that's more powerful than men want to admit. They want to make it seem like a afterthought, the womb, when in reality, that's what they were controlling. And they still want to control that. That's why they're taking away birth control by male, why they're taking away abortion, why they're not allowing you to do anything to prevent pregnancies. That's their right to your womb. At least that's what they think. So what happens when you're no longer of age? Well, they make you a prostitute. Men have to have access to your womb.
Which is crazy when you think about it, because if you go back to the previous ones, who are these men? Well, I'll be dipped if they aren't the same men that are married to the rich women who are being abused at home. And, of course, they're dragging VD back to their wives at home, and
syphilis,
they're off just
all kinds of stuff.
Like I said, breeding all over the place, and it's allowable by law because, of course, the men write the laws. And I'm disappointed in my sex because I thought we had left a lot of this behind, and it's quite clear that there is a very large segment of my gender that seem to think that this is really cool and okay.
I don't
understand.
I do. I'm the object of their control. And
now that you said that, right, men have to control what they can't do themselves because they'll never bear children. You gay people out there, I don't care how hard you try.
Yeah, but it's not
you'll never be able to have children. So
it's not just women. They want to control everything.
Yeah.
In this day and age, it's out of control. I want to control women. Okay, got that. I want to control companies. Okay, got that. I want to control if people get water, people get air. I want to control other countries. Control, control, control. And it looks like to me, like sometimes you get an inch and somebody has to take a country mile. There are certain personalities that you can't satiate.
Yeah.
And greed is one of them, no matter what it is. If you gotta have more, gotta have more, gotta have more, right? And that's what we're seeing on a grand scale here. I gotta control everything. I want everything under my miserly control.
Yeah.
And then once I have that under control, it's never going to be enough. People that have to control are people that are out of control. And why do I say that? Because they don't want anybody to have autonomy. They don't want anybody to have a free will. They want everyone to think and feel like them. And they always want to be right.
The funny thing is when they do get a certain amount of control and people are
they
like them, they abuse the hell out of it, and they're miserable.
The people that they controlled didn't think like them. So they must be punished, right? You're not thinking like me. Now that I have you under this, it's time for me to hurt you.
How do we deal with people like this? I mean, this is wonderful. I mean, this is a very interesting discussion, and we need to stop all of this stuff in its tracks.
The thing that happens when these people are moving up is we trusted them. We trusted them. And then we get to a precipice where we no longer trust them. And that's the dangerous cycle right there. Oh, you went too far. Or you're taking too much, right? We trusted you. We trusted you to do the right thing, to lead us down the right path. And the path was only a path of you, like Jim Jones, right? And what he did, poisoned everybody with Kool-Aid, right? What happened in Russia, in Germany, right? Kill everybody that's different. Why? Because I don't believe what you want. Now, everybody says insanity and stuff like there was a lot of insanity going on because a lot of people died. And why? Because they trusted. This person was convincing, a master manipulator. And people that do that get up because they are master manipulators. And we trust them. We're like, okay, but we're not paying attention to what they're doing. They're saying this, but they're doing this. I no longer listen to what they say. I watch what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you learn not to end up in suffrage.
Yeah. And I have, for the women that think that this is all cool, good luck, because you're going to need it.
Yeah. When someone hasn't lived a situation, it's always glamorized. This has to be wonderful.
Yeah.
I get to sit home all day and watch soap operas and eat bonbons and clean at my will, and there's nothing. And he works and I send him off with a lunch and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. How many people have you ever seen in a perfect relationship? Because the way they're envisioning it in their minds, it's perfect.
Oh, sure.
There's no problems. It's just going to be light and love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until things happen. Oops. It's not perfect. Right? Mm-hmm. Oops. He's a drinker. Oops. He likes drugs. Oops. He doesn't want to work anymore. He wants to stay home and wants me to go work. Oops. He doesn't want children. Oops. We have children we can't afford. Oops. 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 So your little glamorization of what it's like, it's never going to be that way. Ever. There's always something comes up. Always. Something's not the way it is. And then what happens? You're disappointed. Because you had this perfect image in your mind of what it's like. All you have to do is put some sexy clothes on and run around the house. And it's just fun. You know what I mean? And just be blah, 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 blah. I go, yeah, but you know how many women in the 40s, 50s, and 60s did that and the men still cheated? And you got VD? Or worse? Syphilis. A lot of women got syphilis, gonorrhea, you name it. It was a blood fest. But you wore your little apron in the kitchen. You cooked it. You raised his kids, and he still told you to F off. And I'm going to do whatever I want to. Why? Because you're traditional wives, and traditional wives have to eat crap.
You hear me? Slave wife.
You hear me? But traditional wives have to eat crap. So these are some alcoholics too. A lot of women started drinking, right? And beating their kids. Because that beautiful image they had in their heads of this perfect vacations, perfect this, perfect. There's no such thing. I've lived a lot of years in my life. I have yet to meet a perfect person, a perfect situation, or anything that's perfect. We're waiting to see.
Yeah, I've not either. But here's the part that really always that is inevitable is who do they blame? When they finally come to the realization that it's all a bunch of hoo-ha, who gets the blame? Because these people never look in the mirror and accept that it was their decision or it was their choice to basically become a slave, an indentured servant. So now we get into the whole round robin of, well, it's everybody else's fault but mine. It's not my fault. I didn't agree to this. I didn't want this.
It was supposed to be
that
perfect.
person's fault. That person's fault. Over there's fault. And then we get into that.
And then you're in a situation where a lot of women in the 50s were. Now, keep in mind that if they go to this depth of control, you don't own the house. You don't own a car. You don't have a bank account. You're not allowed to vote. So you pretty much are on the streets with goose eggs.
You don't own your clothes either.
Yeah, nope. Keep in mind, traditional slave wives, you have nothing. So when he kicks you out and can bring another woman in, because it's his prerogative, you are chattel. You are going to learn one of the lessons that they learned in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You can't speak up. You can be beaten. You can be lied to. You can be cheated on. And then when he gets tired of you, he can throw you out and get another one. So you tell me if that's a wife or just a utensil.
Let's not forget prison. He can imprison you.
Lobotomy.
The stories about women being thrown into these mental institutions and basically left forever. Yeah. Those are real.
Yes.
That's not
for speaking up,
hyperbole or anything. That actually happened. Women were sent to these sanatoriums, and that was it.
And guess what they used to do in there? Electric shock treatments. Why? Because these women didn't want to do this anymore. Some of them were artists. Some of them wanted to write. Some of them wanted to travel the world. Some of them wanted to play music, do math, whatever it was. But guess what? You got to go crawl in there to your husband and ask him. And if he says no, that's it. You don't get to have a life outside of his. So I know a lot of you may not be artists or whatever, but if you ever want to get a wild hair up and say, hey, honey, I want to go here, and he says no, that's it.
Over.
It's it.
You don't get to pick the vacation
And just
spots.
remember, when you go someplace, he has to sign for you to go places. You want to ride on a plane? If he doesn't sign a note saying that you can, you ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
You couldn't get on a bus. You couldn't get a taxi. You couldn't buy groceries. You couldn't do anything without his permission back then. You think I'm kidding? Get your little Google going. And to speak up for my gender, there's a lot of women out there like me. I'm a musician. I'm a writer. I like to consider myself somewhat of an artist, a little bit. I wouldn't want that taken away because I would find that highly unfair and stifling. And what happens when you stifle somebody's, creativity? There's anger, there's resentment, there's a lot of hatred. And that's why a lot of women did kill their husbands and they went to prison for the rest of their lives. But when you interviewed them, they thought it was the best thing that ever happened to them, even if they were in prison.
Yep.
Why? They were free. Not every woman wants a cage. I know there's a small percentage of you people out there, whatever, I got nothing for you because you envision that cage as some beautiful castle where you're waited on and stuff. And I and other women like me know the reality of the situation. We know what it's like to lose everything. We understand that there's no perfection in the world. We have that consciousness that tells us this is a dangerous situation. Turning over all of your power when more than 50% of the relationships fail and a divorce. Think about that. And pretty soon, if they have their way, you won't even decide who you marry. They will.
I was getting ready to say.
They will decide who you marry. And if he likes to beat the crap out of you, rape you regularly, rape your children, beat the crap out of you, can say nothing.
Nothing.
So that makes you a wonderful mother, doesn't it? You chose that.
Yeah.
And I am criticizing you for that, right? Because I've had situations in my life, my business, but I know what it's like to be marginalized and to be neglected. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, and by the way, as your father is picking your husband, you're nothing more than a financial transaction, because that's where all the whole dowry thing and women coming with money, it was to pay off the men.
Right. It's a caste
The
system.
women didn't get any of the money.
And you're not going to marry up. You can forget about that. When
no,
in this
no,
system
no.
comes down, if you're poor, you're marrying poor.
Yeah.
If you're middle, you're marrying middle. If you're wealthy, you're marrying wealthy. Because they consider the wealthy, anything down here is trash. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. If
Yeah.
your daddy doesn't have money, you're not just, you think, oh, they're going to marry me off to somebody really good. Nope. You could be married to the town drunk. He didn't care. Your dad was tired that day and wanted $50. See you later.
We didn't want to call out, classes of people.
But it's true.
This whole thing
Is caste.
is caste system.
It's
the whole
sure
thing.
is.
You're born poor. That's it. You're poor. That's all you amount to.
And you can't make it better.
No.
Because if you're a woman, they're not going to let you be educated.
No.
They're not going to let you go to Carnegie Hall and do whatever. They're not going to let you be an artist. So how are you, unless your parents are wealthy, you're going to marry poor. Just think about that. You're not educated. They did that on purpose so that he can control you. Think about that.
Yep.
So he can control you because you're too dumb to know how to balance a checkbook. You can't read. You can't even teach your children how to read. You can't write.
Yep.
And that's by design. So that's generations of stupidity. He gets to go to college. He gets to go everywhere. You sit your butt at home, learn how to fold from your mom, learn how to iron, learn how to cook, learn how to do those things.
Clean.
Right? The best you can do is use a measuring cup. So when little Johnny, if you have boys, he has to wait till daddy comes home to help him with his homework. That's how that worked. He has to wait until his father, who's the only educated person in the house, teaches him.
That's assuming they're educated in this day and age, because
Right. But it depends on what
Large
caste you're in.
chunk of men, well,
They
I
make
can
sure
think of
the
some
men
rich
can
people
do
that are dumb as a box of rocks, and they've got
Yeah.
letters after their name and went to the best schools, and these two people couldn't rub two sticks together. That's how dumb they are.
Well, we're going to just assume that some of the men will be educated. Others in trade, like mechanics and stuff like that. And so, don't glamorize this situation as something wonderful, because it isn't.
No.
And again, we go back to the P word. Nothing's perfect. Haven't seen that yet, ever.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating, Is this yours, babe?
No, that one's yours, actually.
Oh, get out. Okay.
Because wrapping all this up with the best part yet to come.
In 2020, I read an article of a man that wanted to marry a 10-year-old. He was putting out feelers everywhere. Let's let men marry 10-year-old. This man was in his 40s. He wanted a little baby to marry. Of course, I was puking in my mouth at the time. And I didn't understand why in 2020 he felt it was time to come out and try that. Well, back in the day, it was legal for little girls, poor families, of course, to marry at the age of 12. A girl could marry, and the boy could be 14. Now, did they have jobs and stuff to them? No. But even today, there are some states out there that'll let a little 12-year-old girl marry some grown, disgusting man. And the reason why I say disgusting is because a 12-year-old body hasn't finished growing yet.
No.
So if you impregnate a 12-year-old, it's more likely that she may die very young because her body's being stripped of nutrients while she's trying to grow. She's trying to use her own nutrients to grow, get her menses, all of these things, and have her bones strong. Meanwhile, a man decided he's going to crawl on top of her and put a baby in there, and the baby needs all of her nutrients and things like that. But she doesn't know that because she's 12.
Disgusting.
12.
Just disgusting.
And so the poor people used to marry quite young. But the wealthy didn't allow their children to marry until they were at least 20. So they knew what they were doing, and they still know what they were doing. If you don't believe me, ask a doctor. The next time you go see your doctor, ask him if it's okay for a 12-year-old girl to get married. And just ask it, just say you're doing it to don't make him think that you're trying to marry a 12-year-old. Just say, I read an article or something like that, because we don't want him to believe that you're a pervert or something. Just say, hey, I read an article, blah, 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 blah. Is a 12-year-old girl capable of sustaining a pregnancy? High rates of miscarriages with 12-year-olds. Extremely high. Why? Her body's not ready. I mean, even at 14, that's kind of stretching it too. That's why they waited. The wealthy knew that their children needed to be, 20 years old or better.
Yeah, of course they were educated back in those days. I mean, can't speak to today, but back then, Victorian age, the rich, they were educated. Mm-hmm. The men, but just think about that for a second, guys. Think about the kind of person that you need to be to marry and climb on top of a 12-year-old. For you men out there who have daughters and aren't subscribing to this, because clearly seems to be millions of people in this country who do, but for those who are normal, who do not, and that's right, I called you people who are into this abnormal. It is abnormal. It is not natural. Think about that for a second. That is disgusting. Think about even your 14-year-old son being forced into that situation. You think a 14-year-old boy wants to? I certainly didn't at 14 years old. I was looking forward to getting out of high school and going to college, getting, military, that kind of stuff. The last thing I was thinking about was trying to build and raise and take care of and feed a family.
Right.
I mean, come on. Even in my early 20s. Oh.
12 years old, we're still kind of playing with dolls a little bit. So if you're like some 40-year-old man that's looking at a little girl out there on her bicycle, right, with pigtails and, all kinds of things, never had any makeup or anything like that, right? Just a naturally beautiful child. The word is child. And mentally, a 12-year-old girl cannot handle a 40-year-old man. You know that. But how depraved do you have to be to have something so young, so innocent, so trusting that you have to abuse? You couldn't be with a 30-year-old girl because she would be too intelligent for you.
Yeah. Well,
so that's what it looks like to me. A child can easily be controlled because you can slap her, beat her, all the things that you do when you're, trying to control a child. A grown woman might be able to read you and see that there's something seriously broken in you. But you can lie to that child over and over and over again. Child.
Well, they get them so that they can basically put fear in them. I'm going to make you afraid. And that's
bullying,
how I'm going to control you.
Bullying. Isn't all of this bullying?
I think so.
The whole thing is bullying.
Let me put 2 words around the kind of people that do this. Epstein files.
Yeah.
The kind of men that do this are the kind of men that are in the Epstein files. And those are the kind of men that we need to be putting under the prison. Not in prison, under the prison. Because if we put them in prison, guess what? The prisoners who have children, yeah, they'll put them under the prison.
Well, think about this. Some of the children that they were abusing were 5 and under.
I can't.
A 5-year-old. Think about that. Or under a 2, 3-year-old, right? They're some of the most trusting, most innocent little things you've ever seen. You take that, and from what I understand in the Epstein files, it was used sexually and discarded like garbage. So, is that a lack of empathy? You darn right it is. You darn right. When you can look at an innocent child and not see a soul, not see feelings, not see pain, not see anything other than your own sexual gratification.
Oh.
Well, that's called Victorian suffrage.
Yeah, that
so
is Victorian
you
suffrage.
Women, remember, the children are theirs to do with as they please as well.
Men own them.
And I'm just going to leave it on that note because it's disgusting to me, and it's just so beneath us as a society. We wonder if even the education system we have now is adequate because we're still in the caves, people. We're still in the caves. We're still raping children, beating women, stealing, lying, cheating. When are we going to grow up and realize that we have bigger fences to build and people that we need to embrace? And I mean fences away from the people that harm others. We need to fence you people off.
Gone.
You cannot change. We're watching this. But we need the people that want to be in a functional society, and I mean functional, those are the people we need to embrace. Those are the people we need to bring closer and we need to unite. Not the people that want to control. Not the people that want to harm. Not the people that can only see their own needs. It's always like this. It's never like this.
Yeah. Until, of course, they need something.
That's what I mean.
And
that's like this.
Yeah, then all of a sudden it's like, stop the presses. Oh, yeah. This person over here. Oh, they need. Yeah, I thought we left this behind. And it's disheartening. It's disconcerting. And it is making me angry. There's so much that needs doing right now. Cleaning our air, our water, trying to fix the planet so that we can actually
live on it
for another 1,000, 2,000 years. I mean, at this rate, we're not going to get out of the 2000s. And this is the kind of crap, this is the kind of junk that a certain section of the population wants to just turn right around. We need women and men to work together. We need all the brain power that we could possibly get. We need everybody on the same page. We need equality because the challenges that are coming ahead, that are coming down the pipe, need serious people. You people aren't serious. This is not serious. This is a bunch of whiny scumbags who are too lazy to, be a whole person. They got to have someone to beat up and kick around.
I don't know. I think there was a lot of miseducation back in this time.
Well, I'm talking about now.
Me too.
I mean,
I'm working my way. Give me a sec.
Okay.
I got this.
I got you.
See, in the Victorian era, they had all this ideology about women's roles and men's roles. But as things started to progress and the rug was pulled out from underneath us in 1929, and the amount of money that was taken and lost, and the stock market crashed, and people had no food and all that stuff. That's when I thought we understood that we needed to work together.
Yeah.
Right? And we did learn for a period of time. We tried to fix it all so that it was more fair. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. But then we have people, 1929 is not that long ago. Some of these people are in their 90s. They were born and raised through this, through the 30s and 40s. They're still alive now. And it's mainly men that thought this was a good time, because somehow some segment of the population isn't happy unless they're controlling something or someone. And keeping that in mind, that's what they want. It has nothing to do with economics. It has nothing to do with anything that I need to control something or I don't feel adequate. No matter what you control, no matter who you control, you're never going to be adequate unless you work on you.
And let's be clear. We're talking majority white men here. Only the white men I hear think that this great time was a great time.
Let's just leave it in the United States.
Yeah,
because
only white men thought that this was a great time. Because believe me, black men, this era, no. I mean, even though the laws said that slavery had been abolished, yeah, I'm certain if you were to talk to black men from this era, that was not their experience. So this is white men doing all of this. And as far as I can tell, in today's day and age, I'm only hearing white men are the ones claiming for all this crap to be back. And I'm not going to speak about the women who think they want to be trad slave wives.
Perfect
because
lives.
I guess their head's been stuck in the internet too long. Go find your grandmother. Actually, don't do that, because nowadays go find a woman who's in her 70s, 60s, 70s.
Go
80s.
talk to a Russian woman.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Go find a young Russian woman that's lived in Russia, and have a little sit down with her, because that's how they have traditional wives over there. That's their entire shtick. And when that Russian woman tells you what it's like, and just keep in mind her affect. You notice Russians don't smile a lot, especially the women. Have a chat with them, and they'll tell you how wonderful it is. I've talked to Russian women. They're not happy with the situation. They're powerless. And it's so bad that in Russia, currently, they've decided, a large percentage of them, to never marry or have children. And I wonder why that is. If it's so wonderful to be under the control of a man, why aren't they celebrating it through the streets? Why aren't they saying this is a wonderful existence? I've talked to Russian women. They'll tell you.
If it was so good, you want to know what would be happening right now? People would be beating down the door to get into Russia.
Not for that. Not for marriage.
No, I'm saying if it was such a great thing, if being under the thumb, under control of somebody, there'd be just a line. There'd be a line.
Yeah, go there. The Russian men will take care of you. Trust me. Right? They like to drink too.
It's a mess, and I don't understand. I really don't understand, especially in today's day and age.
You've said it many times. You say that a lot of these women are lazy. They don't want to work.
Yeah. These women that want to be like this, trad slave wives, traditional slave wives, you're lazy. I'm going to look dead in the camera and say, you are lazy. You don't want to work. You don't want to go to school. You think that life's just going to be lying on the couch, popping bonbons. Yeah, give it 12 months. Heck, give it 6 months. I can guarantee you.
Get a Russian husband.
There won't be Well, I mean, I'm just
they're
saying
here.
you don't have to go that
there's
far.
Russian men here. Oh,
It's just
true.
yeah, but these are American men that are trying to pull this crap off.
Yeah, but I just want them to get the lesson quicker.
Well, some of these people are, you know what? And I'm just going to be frank with you. I have no empathy for you for this. I have no sympathy. I have no empathy. All the information is there. You've got living, breathing people who you can talk to who will tell you that this entire situation is a non-starter bad shtick.
How
Full
would
stop.
that work for me? I mean, let's give it an example. I mean, how you and I interact. I mean, you turning around and saying, Sandra, you can no longer vote. You can no longer have a checkbook. You can no longer own real estate. You can no longer own a car. Blah, 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 blah. And what do you think my response would be?
Yeah, I might be picking my head up from out there.
Oh, you can no longer do music. You can no longer
You
write
can't have a
books.
computer.
Yeah.
You can't have those books. I'm giving
That's
you
right.
the books you're supposed
Yeah,
to read.
and that's another thing. It's communication they take away from you. You're
Oh,
right.
yeah, you can't.
You don't get a computer and
You
stuff
don't have
like
family. You're not allowed to talk to your family
that.
anymore.
Until he says so.
You can't communicate with anybody. Period. Full stop. You can't go outside. You can, and they can in this world, and they can call the police if you don't. You're disobedient. We're
You
throwing
get a
you in the
lobotomy.
sanatorium and getting a lobotomy. That's it. You didn't listen.
Or electric shock treatments, or put on Thorazine, or who knows what. You know. Who knows?
I mean, the lobotomy is bad enough. Then now you be a vegetable the rest of your life.
No, you're not a vegetable.
You
You just don't have any. A lobotomy means that you don't have, it's your frontal lobe. You
Right,
don't
I
have
understand.
emotion.
I mean, yeah, you're a vegetable. Yeah, you
No.
don't have any emotion. You're a slug. Right?
No. You can still function in society. With a lobotomy, it just, your decision making, they did it to a woman before, and one of the Kennedy women has it. And they messed hers up. She got an infection in her brain. So now she's a vegetable. But what happens is you're kind of an automaton. You don't react emotionally. And her husband was quite happy with it because she did everything that she was told to do on time and never got upset, never got cried, never got angry. It just takes your
When I say
emotions away.
vegetable, I don't mean lying there just like a dead stick. You're a vegetable, in my opinion, with no emotion, no feeling. You wiped out the humanity. You're a vegetable.
Well,
What a mess.
I don't want any of that.
I can't believe that we're having this. I can't believe we're having this discussion in 2026. I can't believe that there are women on this planet, in this country, in the United States of America, that want this crap.
That's why we wore
Sign
the
me up.
T-shirts,
Are
the
you
Punishers.
kidding me?
Right?
You women need to have your head examined. Maybe you do need, because if you think this is cool, maybe you don't need to be in regular society with the rest of us, because clearly you don't
Would
want
you
to
want a
participate.
wife that...
No. You don't have to go any further. Nope.
So obviously he said,
Hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no.
I got to be able to have conversations with my amazing wife. I've got to be
my
able to
wonderful
have.
husband, yes.
I'd shoot myself. If I came home every day and there was just some, to your point, automaton, just, yes, here you go. No, I'd jump off of a cliff. And I got to be honest with you, most of the men that I know would follow me. I don't know. The kind of guys that would do this and want this kind of a woman are the kind of people I want nowhere near me or my children. My family, none of them. Oh, boy, as much energy and rage as this brings out, I can't even imagine being a woman and having to listen to and deal and hear that this kind of stuff is even out there on the wind.
That's why we wore the Punisher shirts again. Because I have to tell you, I try to have a little levity. And when I listen to intelligent people, they have hope. I don't think that a large enough percentage of this country wants this type of lifestyle. And the ones that do you can't put the genie back in the bottle. We're educated. A lot of us are. So all of a sudden we're supposed to dumb down and take abuse. I don't think we're that unintelligent. There are segments of the population that are. It's, I think there is some laziness there because they just want to be followers. I don't want to have to do the heavy lifting. And like he says, that's lazy. I think it's important that both parties in a relationship understand the job of the other. That way, if something goes wrong, because I know for a fact things can go wrong, that you're able to do whatever needs to be done. And so if you limit yourself just to one stream, like this, you can only do this. If this goes away, you're totally screwed. Because you won't know how. And if this were like 40 years and they had their way and there's nobody educated, nobody smart, the women don't know what to do, and he goes away because it's his right. Gets up one day and goes, I've had enough of all you people, I'm leaving. You can't have a checkbook. You can't have a car. You can't have a house. You can't have children. So you have no money or means or know how to get means.
Or if the man dies, you're not allowed to inherit any of that, by the way.
That's right.
Wherever the closest male relative on his side comes to they get to take it.
And guess what?
You're on the
You
street.
get the streets. So,
that's the way it is.
Like I said, I hear a lot of intelligent people out there. You just can't put the genie back in the bottle. And I would say 99% of women in this country aren't going to dumb down just so they can be abused. I, for one, am going to be in that club that they're going to say needs a lobotomy because I am going to fight for my rights.
Well, I won't be here
To
because
autonomy.
I'll be warring. We're doing a different kind of fighting to make sure that this doesn't happen.
You women, everybody has a choice, and I'm not saying that you can't have this. I'm just saying you're not making me have that. I don't care what your Bible says or how you've interpreted it, that all women have to follow your edicts. I say no. I think that you should have your right to do what you want, and I should have my right. And I don't see it any other way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
To me, at the end of the day, that's the difference between...
And a lot of this is Bible, though.
In this country...
Isn't this?
This is all Bible.
Yeah.
Well, no. Let me take that back. No. This is all men's interpretation of the Bible. This is not the Bible. The Bible, none of this is in the Bible.
I
Not
don't think
one
so
drop
either.
of this.
There's bastardization of the Bible, right?
This is some scumbag's interpretation of how to control, and of course, all the other scumbags get on board. But
I have an idea. So if they want to control something, let them go out and hunt fictional animals and stuff like that. The unicorn. Unicorn hunt. You guys can't come back until you get one. Right?
yeah. Yep. It's just...
I'm desperate. I don't know where to go with this. This is crazy.
To me, this is a great example of, to me, what the difference is between people who call themselves progressives and people who call themselves conservatives. Progressives say, do what you want, everybody gets their own say. Conservatives say, none of you get to do what you want, you get to do what I tell you to do.
And I'm going to punish you if you don't.
And to me, that is the very base difference. And you people constantly do crap like this reinforces my opinion time and time and time and time and time again. Take your fiscal conservative and shove it up your hoo-ha, because that doesn't exist. When I hear conservative versus progressive, this is what I think of when I think of conservative. I think of mindless numbnuts taking the Bible, bastardizing it to their own interpretation so that they can abuse and subjugate other human beings.
And that's the whole re-enslavement of women.
End of story.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. So...
And I'm not going to let it happen. Not in this country. As long as I draw breath, this will never be the law of the land. Ever. I got your back, sweet pea. This is never going to happen.
Yeah, I don't want it to happen. This has been a public service show. And I'm Sandra.
And I'm Kirk.
And this is a tough, it's a tough one. You know, it's something that I hope never, ever happens. And I will fight it to the end.
I'll fight it with you.
Thank you.
You are welcome. This kind of is not going to happen. Ah, yes. I almost forgot the message board. He said, you should have just told me. Message board.
I just
Get
wrote
to
it down.
thepublicservice.org, and our message board is up there. Our links to YouTube. Swing into the message board. We need more action there. Again, thepublicservice.org.
You have been watching a public service show. America is part of a global community. Sandra and I are well aware that the American experience had the hope for freedom. America isn't perfect by any means, and we are currently having our freedoms tested. Here at the Public Service Show, we're going to look at how and why we're at this point in America.